his name? Edouard Mendy at Chelsea.
Mm-hmm.
Dude,
he's stout.
That was a bargain that they got him for.
Yeah.
What was it, $22 million or something like that?
I mean, Czech knows a good keeper when he sees one.
God,
He's looked in a mirror.
Imagine
for 4
they
years.
spent $70 million on Kepa, and then they got Edouard Mendy, who probably.
How much does Kepa go for? How much can?
Dude,
before someone buys him, and it's not like
I think I've said this before. Where Chelsea are the most efficient club in the world. Where
it's not like there's nowhere for him to go. But I don't think he's going to be sold as much as Morata will be. Morata's got a CV. Kepa doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, Morata only has a CV because all these big teams wanted him.
But even then,
yeah,
he's got one.
And
it's not like his stats are horrible.
I don't know if we mentioned this before, but have you ever seen that thing where people were talking about how the reason why people are buying Morata for so much money is because he's part of a money laundering scheme? Yeah. It's so funny. But like I think I've said this before on here. Chelsea are the most efficient club when it comes to players. If they bring in a player and he's not working, say they bring in a player like Morata for $70 million, I think is what they got him for, maybe 80.
Too much.
I think it was around the same price as Lukaku because I'm pretty sure United were trying to get him at the same time. It was between him and Lukaku when
that
Lukaku
kind
came.
of sounds familiar, actually.
And I think Morata, I think he went for 80. I want to say, let's just say 80. And then he didn't really work for that season. So then the next season, Chelsea shipped him off for $70 million. They only lost $10 million on him, and whereas other teams, if they brought in a player for $70 million, they're not going to get half as much money as Chelsea got back. But I think
60,
okay,
euros.
Yeah, so roughly, but in dollars. But when it comes to Kepa, I think Chelsea are pretty screwed because no one wants him because he clearly has an attitude problem based off of that whole sorry situation in the Carabao Cup 2 years ago where he was injured and he was told to come off and he was like, I'm not coming off, like I'm fine. And then he's got no confidence obviously because if you shoot on him, it's going in, and like I don't see it unless he goes back to Bilbao because he's a Basque player. I don't see anyone else taking him.
What, like, did he even have that great of a season to get bought for that much money?
I think he was solid, and he was like a young keeper.
It was like an
who was
investment,
pretty good.
kinda
Yeah, hoping that he over the course of his career, like De Gea, basically coming from Atletico to United.
Was Czech there yet?
I think Czech was still playing at Arsenal whenever they bought Kepa.
Okay,
I'm not positive.
Well, that would make sense.
Yeah, but dude, them getting Edouard Mendy is a big. It's a big.
He's been
big pickup.
Solid. I mean, if you look at how they were doing in the first 3 games, and then after they got him, it's.
Yeah, and people are saying like it's because now that Thiago Silva is fit into the team. I don't think Thiago Silva has been a good defender for them at all.
He just brings that. He's a direction towards experience. I mean, that's it. Like that's the avenue that they have for some type of. I know how the game works back here.
Yeah, but I think Edouard Mendy, like some of like the saves that he made against United whenever United and Chelsea drew 0-0, so good. And then he made that one save this past weekend against Spurs. So Chelsea picked up a really good player in that. And then the Villa West Ham game.
That was
wild, dude.
That
was insane,
dude. I don't
and
understand.
another player that I got rid of, Jared Bowen, freaking scores. But
you shouldn't have got rid of him.
I traded him for Harvey Barnes because I was like, Harvey Barnes is definitely better than Jared Bowen. And I mean,
with the full 11,
technically still
with
is, but
each full 11.
Yeah.
Like Leicester doesn't have. There's no creativity in the midfield for them right now for Harvey to like get through.
Yeah,
they're always having to chase back to be on defense.
Yeah,
they don't have that back line or Ndidi right now. But also in that West Ham game though, I don't understand why Villa don't start Traore. I don't get that because he comes in and he's juking out.
Is that like? Do you think it's because what's his name, Dean Smith wants to like?
Trezeguet was a part of the team that got them promoted. There's loyalty there, but whatever system they're running now, Trezeguet he's not necessary.
Yeah,
at least not on the right wing.
And Trezeguet, whenever he's bleeding, just blood streaming down his face. He's like, I'm not coming off. It's like, well, you got to for at least 5 minutes, guy.
I think it's one of those things where if he does come off, it's Traore's spot now.
Yeah, and
I'm sure he won't. Trezeguet may play next game. Who knows? I don't know who they play, but I think Traore is He's going to be starting by the end of the season.
Why
it has to be.
Trezeguet starts over Traore too is because I know Trezeguet can track back and defend, which is a thing maybe Traore doesn't do as much with. Which honestly, with Villa, they can't really afford that.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, if they had a front line of Grealish, Watkins, and Traore, that's a stout front three.
I think they need to move
Grealish into the middle.
But
then you have Barkley. He was missing.
You also have Douglas Luiz, and where's Scott McGinn going to go? But what I'm saying is, when you move Trezeguet out to the left wing, you've got Traore out right. You're losing depth on the wing. However, they would be much more lethal with Grealish running up through the middle, which he was anyway. If you look at his heat map against West Ham, he was playing right mid half the time. The dude just comes in and floats around, looks for a pass. That's what he does every time. And he rarely ever goes up to the byline. And when he does, he scores. I don't know why he doesn't do it more often, but he's coming around through the middle anyway. I mean, might as well play him there.
Imagine if Villa played a diamond with Douglas Luiz as the holder, Barkley and McGinn as the two on the side, and then Grealish as the 10, and they put Watkins and Traore on top.
That would work.
That would be sick.
That would work. And Target gets up, and so does it's Target, right? They're left
Target,
back. Yeah. And then Matty Cash gets up as well. He looks good going up too. I like Cash. Yeah, I think he was a right mid at Nottingham before he was a right back.
Yeah, but then obviously Villa had a goal disallowed that was just a cunt hair offside, and
I don't even think it was though. Not that I was pulling for West Ham.
I mean, the way they drew the lines, like they drew the line up to the one guy's shoulder, and then they drew the other line up to Watkins' elbow, basically, and it's like, how can you say if the official rule that they released 2 weeks ago was that this is handball, but this isn't handball?
It's shoulder. I mean, you can score like that. But when they call it like that, they're basically saying that if Watkins was on sides, he would be able to score with his.
And Ogbonna was also holding him, so you don't know if Ogbonna was, you know what I mean? Like
it was close.
But
I mean, he should have made that.
He should have made the penalty.
He should have made the penalty without question. He
and then Trezeguet
wouldn't have been in that situation.
Should have scored that one goal that
a tap in.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But then afterwards, Jack Grealish came out and he was like, "You know how I feel about VAR?" And it's like, "Well, dude, the entire reason why Villa are in the Premier League right now is because one,
that penalty you missed is because of VAR."
No. He's talking about like
I know what he's saying, and like the broad overview, but that it's not up to him. Like VAR is
I know, but he's bitching about it. But then it's like last year, your goal line technology was turned off, and VAR didn't review it, and that is literally the only reason why you are in the Premier League right now, or Villa are in the Premier League.
You can be happy and still I mean, I'm sure they're like beyond relief to stay in the league. Yeah. But you can still notice the issue at hand of like that could have been us. Yeah. You know what I mean on the other side.
But my thing is like, don't complain about it without recognizing your own faults. Like when the own advantage that you had for it. That's just. And then did you see his dive? Grealish's dive.
Yeah.
Dude, that was so bad. And like people were arguing, well, that guy still kicked his leg, and it's like, yeah, he kicked his leg, but then Grealish went down and held the wrong leg. He got kicked on the right, and then he held the left. I was like, come on, man. I know it's part of the game and all, but man, it just makes you look like a clown.
I mean, don't touch him.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same. I mean, there's so many players.
And if you are going to touch him, like, make sure you deserve that yellow card if he's going to do shit like that.
Dude. You know? If I was playing against him, because he wears his shin guard so low, I would just go up a little bit higher. Just get right above him.
That's a straight red.
I'll take it.
It's a straight red. I don't think you're proving a point so much as like giving them a steep advantage.
And then Arsenal, they're not scoring either. They could get relegated if they don't find form. They're just going to keep drawing games.
I blame Arteta at this point. I have to. And
I don't. Who else can you blame?
Well, first and foremost,
if people are going to blame Ollie for not playing like shit, how are you not going to blame Arteta for?
He's got the wrong personnel for the system he's trying to run, and I think he's arrogant in his. He's like, you're going to play this way, but not all of them. Like Saka, loved the guy, not a left wing back. Tierney, not a left center back. Holdings, if he's the best you got, he's the best you got.
That's sad.
That's it.
What about that?
Gabriel's looked good, and he didn't start a few games.
What about that? What is the guy that they got last year that they loaned back out to whatever team they bought him from? He's the French guy as well.
Saliba.
Yeah. Where is he?
Exactly. He and it's. I guess he's afraid to give them a chance, or he's trying to get the best he can out of his first team, but he's not. Ceballos and Ceballos is not a 6. Xhaka's not a lone 6. So I don't know why he's trying to do that. I've never seen Willock's never impressed me. I've never seen it. I mean, granted, I haven't watched as much as I should have, but I haven't seen. He's no Martinelli.
Yeah.
But he's Martinelli when he gets
Martinelli?
back. Yeah, he's injured. He'll be back, I think, after the break, and that's a glimmer of hope for him. But not playing Özil is a big deal.
Imagine if they had him. You know how many goals they could probably have right now, especially with the system they're playing. Like I know it's 5 wing back, but then you don't have to expect Aldo to come back and defend. Then just leave him up top. Then you don't have to have him actually defending.
Yeah.
Which I don't think that's Arteta doing that. I think that's something to do with the club.
Has to be.
Yeah,
absolutely has to be.
Because there's no way you like Arteta would be like, yeah, I don't like you. I'm not going to play you.
Yeah.
That has to come from higher up. Because didn't this kind of start already before?
They've got the Rice Nelson guy also.
But he's like so hit and miss. He had that one good season at Schalke on loan, and it was for like 6 months. What?
And Kedia should be playing. I mean, like
Kedia should be playing.
Maitland-Niles.
They have so many good young
Maitland-Niles
players.
has impressed me.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know like what the public thinks of him, but like when I've watched him play, I think he's all
There's
right.
a lot of people on football Twitter saying that Maitland-Niles is better than Bellerin because they're like, since Bellerin has had his ACL injury, he doesn't have the same speed that he had before, and I mean, he's not a better defender than Maitland-Niles. So
Bellerin looks more attacking to me now, or he doesn't look as aggressive in defense as he used to be. But
he's probably scared he's going to pop his ACL again, which I mean I don't blame him for, but I do think that Maitland-Niles has slowly started. It's not that he does anything better than Bellerin. It's just that Bellerin can have a great game and then an awful game, where Maitland-Niles kind of is like steady the whole way through. Like he never has a great game, but he never has a terrible game. It's always like straight down the middle.
I'll take consistency over an own goal every 4 games.
I agree.
You know what
completely.
I mean? Yeah. But I mean, there's no reason why they should be 14.
And then
where are they now?
Speaking of Arsenal's defenders, like when you're, I don't know how Arsenal aren't getting looked into about that situation with Luis having that collision with Jimenez, and then him playing and the rest of the half. Like that dude had no idea where he was. He had a bandage on his head that was still bleeding, and their physical team was like, yeah, he's good to go.
They've got concussion tests that trainers will give you like on the field. So he had to have passed a concussion test, and I mean, I got tested, but they're not easy. Because I thought I got a concussion one time in a game, and
but even dude,
they're not easy. So like,
looked like he was lost.
Doesn't he all the time?
I mean,
you're
not wrong, but at the same time, when you're having to bandage him up,
with a bandage on him, yeah, I agree. He should have been subbed out, and it's not like they couldn't have. But if he's like, strap me up, it's like, all right, well. And he started, and I don't think it was that late into the game. It
was like the 10th minute. I'm pretty sure that it happened.
Yeah, it was early.
Yeah, I didn't get to watch it. I just like watched the highlights of it, and like that picture that we had in our group me about it. Like Jimenez's head is already like kind of deformed when it like first shows the contact, and Luis's hand is in his mouth for some reason.
Yeah,
like just.
Have you heard anything past
scary.
the skull fracture diagnosis?
No, other than they did like a surgery on, and then he woke up and he's like, he basically said, thanks for all the support. I'm going to try and get back, but I'm like, I don't think he's ever going to play soccer again.
He's definitely not going to head the ball.
No way.
Well, unless they,
which is like
they might could like metal plate him up and he can head it from like 30 yards out. Could
just
happen.
Half-filled header.
Boom! Just sonic headers. Come on, man.
Oh, but that for real is super sad for Jimenez. I hope that's not the end of his career, because
it's so rare you see something like that too.
Yeah, but then when you do see it, it's like, oh, it's so horrific.
Yeah, because they just dropped and like were both limp.
Yeah, and he was still out even when they were putting him on the thing. Like he was still just getting rolled around like it was nothing.
Dude, imagine David Luiz felt the skull crack too when he headed him.
Oh, had to, or at least have to have heard it.
Yeah, and I mean, as hard as he hit him, because his face was like, he looked like a Jekyll and Hyde, dude. Fucking
And
fat lump
I can't
on his
remember.
head.